A single figure, motionless, watches through a high-powered scope. The sniper is the ultimate symbol of a special weapons and tactics or SWAT team, precision, patience, and overwhelming force held in reserve. These sharpshooters and the teams they belong to are called in for situations that have spiraled far beyond a typical police response. But the story of how these elite units came to be is more complex than you might think. It wasn't born in a single moment. Instead, it was forged over years of civic unrest, high-profile confrontations, and tactical lessons learned in the most unexpected places. While many associate SWAT with Los Angeles, the first unit to bear the name actually formed 3,000 miles away. In 1964, the Philadelphia Police Department faced a wave of bank robberies. They needed a way to react with speed and superior firepower while a robbery was in progress. Their solution was a 100-man specialized unit, designated Special Weapons and Tactics. The concept was simple but revolutionary, a large group of highly trained officers who could decisively end a high-stakes criminal threat. It was a success and the idea began to spread. 3 years later, the Los Angeles Police Department established its own team. The city was still grappling with the aftermath of the 1965 Watts riots. This event showed the LAPD they were unprepared for widespread urban unrest. Inspector Darrell Gates, who would later become chief, saw the need for a unit that could handle riots, barricaded suspects, and the new threat of snipers who could outgun patrol officers. His initial name proposal, Special Weapons Attack Team, was considered a bit too aggressive by his superiors, so they settled on the now familiar Special Weapons and Tactics. The LAPD didn't develop its tactics in a vacuum. They looked north to the small farming community of Delano, California. There, Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers Union were staging protests and strikes. The Delano Police Department, in response, formed its own ad hoc tactical units, honing skills in crowd control, surveillance, and sniper deployment. LAPD officers, after seeing news coverage, traveled to Delano to observe these tactics firsthand. They brought that knowledge back to Los Angeles, where it became a foundational element of the first official LAPD SWAT platoon. The LAPD's new unit was soon put to the test. In December 1969, a raid on the Black Panther Party's headquarters erupted into a 4-hour standoff. Over 5,000 rounds were fired between the two sides. Then, in 1974, a televised shootout with the heavily armed Symbionese Liberation Army, or SLA, captivated the nation for hours. The 6 SLA members barricaded in the house perished as the structure caught fire. But the event cemented the image of SWAT in the American consciousness, a disciplined, heavily armed force prepared for military-style confrontations. These early gunfights highlighted serious equipment gaps. After the SLA shootout, where officers were armed with .243 caliber bolt-action rifles and shotguns, a trend began. SWAT teams across the country started being issued body armor and automatic weapons. The standard 6-shot revolver of the patrol officer was no match for the threats SWAT teams were designed to face. Their arsenal had to evolve to maintain a tactical advantage. The role of SWAT teams changed dramatically in the 1980s and 90s. The war on drugs, bolstered by federal legislation that gave police access to military equipment and funding, created a massive demand for tactical units. In the early 80s, SWAT teams conducted around 3,000 drug raids a year. By 1996, that number had skyrocketed to 30,000. By 2005, teams were being deployed 50,000 times a year, with nearly 80% of those calls being to serve search warrants, most often for narcotics. Another pivotal moment came on April 20, 1999, at Columbine High School. The traditional police response was to set a perimeter and wait for the specialized SWAT team to arrive and make entry, but as the tragedy unfolded, it became clear that waiting was costing lives. This incident forced a fundamental rethinking of police tactics. The result was the active shooter doctrine. Patrol officers, who are the first to arrive on scene, are now trained and equipped with rifles and armor to immediately engage a threat, rather than waiting for the specialized team. Today's SWAT teams deploy with an impressive array of gear. The old M1 steel helmets have been replaced with modern ballistic helmets, similar to those used by the military. They carry specialized weapons like submachine guns and high-caliber sniper rifles, but also less lethal options like tasers and beanbag rounds. Their tools include everything from ballistic shields and battering rams to thermal cameras and armored vehicles, designed to breach, protect, and resolve situations with as much control as possible. The use of those armored vehicles, often military surplus or specialized trucks like the Lenco Bearcat, is a point of debate. Proponents argue they are armored rescue vehicles, essential for safely extracting civilians and officers from a firefight. Critics, however, suggest that their presence can escalate situations that might otherwise be resolved peacefully, and question whether smaller departments with low rates of violent crime truly need military-grade equipment. The SWAT model has also gone global. In China, public security bureaus have units they call Special Police or Tijing, which translates to SWAT. These teams handle counterterrorism and raids, but their duties are often broader, including riot control and even disaster relief. Some Chinese prisons even have their own dedicated prison SWAT teams to respond to riots or secure high-risk inmates, showing how the core concept has been adapted for different needs. From its origins as a response to bank robbers and urban unrest, SWAT has become an integral, if sometimes controversial, part of modern policing. Its mission has expanded from rare, high-stakes emergencies to a common tool in law enforcement. The sniper on the rooftop remains the iconic image, a symbol of a force created to handle the most extreme scenarios. But the story of SWAT is really a story of evolution, constantly adapting to new threats and changing public expectations.